right, so it's about to throw us on Facebook, and then the timer's up there. It's already counting down, so. All right, so it's about to throw us on Facebook, and then the timer's up there. It's already counting down, so.
My cat is very interested.
All right, we are on Facebook, so the timer's counting, and hold on. Jenny Rubin says, hi, Elizabeth. We'll get started in 2 minutes. For those that have already started watching and are just watching the clock countdown, we're waiting for adapting your home-based food business during these times. A conversation with Shari, Bresin, and Elizabeth Urquiola. So stay on here. If you can hit share to spread the message even further, we'd greatly appreciate it. A couple people are starting to join us. I see Jenny Rubin. I see Jennifer Ziegler. We'll get started in 1 minute. All right. So that's a good hint for Shari and Elizabeth. If you haven't silenced your cell phones already, mine was just ringing. So. Started. 20 seconds. Okay, that's our timer to get started. Let me stop that beeping and we'll be good to go. All right, so thank you everybody that's watching or that watches the recording as it gets published later on when we're all finished. We've brought together a few folks today to discuss how to adopt your home-based food business during these times. We've got Shari Bresin, correct? Am I saying that right, Shari?
Bresin.
Bresin, I knew I wasn't. Shari Bresin, and we also have Elizabeth Urquiola. They're both with IFAS, the Pasco County Extension, and they're going to be discussing a few different items with us. So what I'd first like to do is just go around the virtual room and have each of you introduce yourself and what you do normally to help folks in the county. So we'll start with Shari.
Hi, I'm Shari. I am the Family and Consumer Sciences Agent with the UF Pasco County Extension Office. My program and educational areas that I teach are on money management, nutrition, healthy eating, chronic disease prevention, and also food entrepreneurship and food safety.
Excellent. Thank you, Shari. And next up is Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, can you tell everybody a little bit about what you do normally?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Urquiola. I'm the program coordinator for the IFAS Pasco Extension Office. We are here at the one-stop shop in Dade City, and I coordinate programs. I oversee the reservations for the kitchen where I'm standing right here behind me, and I'm happy to help any way I can. Pleasure to have you all here.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you all coming on. Now, we're going to start off. I just want to start off with an introduction of myself as well. I'm Dan Mitchell. I'm with Smart Start Pasco. We're the entrepreneur program that's funded by Penny for Pasco, administered by the Pasco EDC, Economic Development Council. And the reason we're hosting this seminar today, webinar, is to acknowledge that most entrepreneurs and most small businesses are dealing with some difficulty right now, especially navigating how to adjust their business in this time of increased concern over safety, the shutdown that we've been dealing with, and how to pivot, how to change, and then what resources are available. We're going to start off with Shari. I've got some questions for you. First off, we talk about home-based food, home-based business. Can you define cottage food business for those that are watching that might not know what that even means? What is a cottage food business?
Yes, that's a good part. Not a lot of people are familiar with the cottage food law, but the legislators in Florida do allow you to have a food business from your home without needing a commercial or licensed kitchen, as long as you are doing low hazard foods, meaning they are not highly linked to foodborne illnesses, and you do not exceed $50,000 a year in sales. So as long as you're meeting those requirements, you run a business and cook the food from home and then sell it as either a full-time or side job.
That's excellent. So right now, with the COVID-19, with people events being closed, and a lot of cottage foods, but how do cottage foods businesses usually sell their wares? Let's start there.
So most operators are either a vendor at, say, an event, a festival, or they're at a farmer's market. So obviously none of those events are happening right now. But in a typical setting, that's where you would find a cottage food business, is out at various events.
So if I've got a cottage food business, should I just put it on hold right now since I can't sell my stuff?
Not necessarily. Even though the typical business model is to be a vendor at events or farmers markets, you can actually sell your products online. That is an option. They do allow it. You cannot have a third party do the delivering. So you, as the cottage food operator, would need to deliver the food either to your customer's home, or you pick a neutral spot if you feel more comfortable that way. And just, sell, if you have a website or social media, put the word out that you are still taking orders and people can order from you that way. You don't necessarily have to put your business on pause just because there are no events being held at this time.
Okay. Now, everybody's concerned about food safety, safety in general right now. Mm-hmm. What should I do as a cottage food operator to bring that level of concern up in my own operation?
Yes. So again, even though you're working from home, you are serving food to the public in this business. So you want to make sure you're taking all the necessary precautions, typically the ones that you would see a normal business doing. So you would want to be wearing a mask and gloves, gloves, something simple like this, or food handler gloves. Again, just taking that extra step because they are recommended at this time. And then of course, if you have a sick family member in your house, in that case, you would want to stop making your food product. just to be safe, of course. But then even at the end of the day, there's still just regular foodborne illnesses that we're concerned with, such as hepatitis A. That's been a virus that is foodborne that's been going around, especially here in Pasco. So with that being said, just your typical everyday food safety measures that you should have been taking all along. So proper hand washing, wiping and sanitizing the frequent contact surfaces such as your counters, appliance handles, cabinet drawers, doorknobs, stuff like that all over your kitchen. You want to make sure that you're properly cleaning and sanitizing so that you're not having any risk of foodborne illness to your customers.
So you mentioned foodborne illness. Is coronavirus, is COVID-19 foodborne? Tell us what that means.
It's foodborne illness, or a foodborne pathogen means that it can survive on the food and make a human sick, with the food being the mode of transport. With COVID-19, there has been no evidence showing that the virus can thrive on a food surface and live long enough without a human host to then go inside a human upon being ingested and then making them sick. There's been no links, no evidence, no data showing this. So at this time, it's just your typical respiratory virus, and not at all a foodborne illness, foodborne virus.
Well, that's good to know. Now, another thing people are dealing with right now is getting laid off from work, or maybe they're home working a partial shift, or is a cottage food business a way that people can make extra money to help feed their families, right?
It can be. You would really need to look at your financial position, because again, this is your business. You got to spend money to make money. So if you were to make, let's say, fruit jams or jellies, you would need to buy the ingredients, you need to buy the canning equipment, the jars, etc. That might be a lot of upfront costs. And for someone that isn't sure what their job situation is going to look like in a few months, or if their savings maybe can't hold them over for too long of a time, it might be better to just find a different side job. Let's say, like a Instacart delivery person. But that doesn't mean that you can't. If you are, if you're just cut hours, but you're in stable employment other than that, and your finances can handle it, and you want to start, putting a lot of money towards purchasing ingredients and making cake and cookies, jams, whatever it might be, it's something to consider. You just need to look at the numbers based on what ingredients you would have to buy and what your savings looks like. Make sure that you're not going to, hurt your personal finances in order to start a cottage foods business.
Okay. Now for folks that currently do have cottage food businesses, have you seen anybody do anything really creative or pivot or take it a different route, or have you just heard any good ideas, even if it's just something that you've seen on social media, or it doesn't have to be a personal thing, but have you seen any good ideas out there?
Yeah, if you go to, like, even earlier, I was on the Facebook page for the Tasty Tuesday Farmers Market, and there were vendors on there saying, hey, I have, X, Y, and Z that I can sell. Is anyone interested? Just trying to reach the customer base that way, because, people that like, for example, again, Tasty Tuesday, they're probably going to be on that Facebook page and just checking for updates, and they probably bonded with some of the vendors and have, regular vendors that they like to work with. So the customers are on there and they're looking, and that would be a great way to, let people know you're still here, you're still selling, and try to meet the customer halfway. I also saw with TampaBayMarkets.com on their Facebook page, there was one market over in St. Pete. They were doing their farmers market was going to be done in like a drive-through method and taking orders in advance. So still kind of in that farmers market environment where you're not having to deliver the food, but you're taking orders in advance. So there's a few different ways And if you're not already with the farmers market, if you're just trying to get up and running, I would try to connect with these farmers markets and ask if you can be either a virtual vendor or be part of whatever drive-through type style they're doing in these times.
I love the idea of a drive-through virtual farmers market. I saw in Orlando, one of their farmers markets right away when everything was shut down went virtual, and they tried to take orders and kind of push to celebrate their vendors online. And but the delivery was still up to the vendor. So the idea of a virtual farmers market is really great. It still allows people to come together to get their goods. And from a business perspective, if you're doing pre-orders and you know that you only have, you're going to sell 15 cider donuts and 2 bran muffins, that's all you've got to make, and you don't have waste. You're not throwing anything away. I love it. Music to my ears.
Yep.
What's that?
People are getting creative.
Yeah, it's definitely neat to see that. Well, before I talk about a couple other resources that we have available, do you have anything else for the cottage food operators that you want them to be aware
of? For cottage food operators, I would say just know the basics of food safety. And also, if you're out there on social media letting customers know you're still taking orders, you can, you'd want to mention this. Tell them you are cleaning, sanitizing, you have gloves, you have masks, because even though a cottage food is a low hazardous food, there's still always that hazard with human error, even if it's not a food that needs to be cooked or held to a certain temperature, cross-contamination might happen, or, there's so much that could go wrong in a home kitchen when you think of all the foodborne illness cases that us as consumers contract just in our own homes when we're cooking. So let your customers know that you are, very, knowledgeable in basic food safety measures and that you're taking extra precautions during these times.
And that's great. I mean, we're talking about digital and social. So if you've got the wherewithal and the clean kitchen and you want to kind of let people peek behind the curtain, Shari's in her kitchen right now, and we see that it's nice and clean, and the microwave's even sparkling. So if she was making cookies for us to buy, we would definitely be more confident in that cookie purchase than a kitchen that's all disheveled. So we can see into the window of those folks' homes, and that is a great way to get that message across. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to share, before we jump over to Elizabeth, just so we can stay on the same topic, from an economic standpoint, we talked about earning extra money. We also know that our cottage food operators and our small businesses are not getting as much business necessarily right now as they were. Some are, but cottage food businesses generally sold at markets. I have heard that many of these operators have found success with some of the federal programs that are available, like the Paycheck Protection Program, the EIDL loan, even unemployment assistance through the pandemic unemployment assistance, all of these programs from the CARES Act. Now, one caveat would be you still have to prove that you're eligible. So I know that some of these operators might just take cash and not necessarily report it as best as they should. That might cause some difficulty in applying for these programs. But if you're the type of cottage food operator that is reporting that income and you are keeping good records, you might be surprised at the availability. So if you were to go over to pascoedc.com/COVID-19, and I'll put that in the comments below too, so that you can see the link. But Pasco EDC, I'm typing it as we talk so that we can make sure it gets in there. pascoedc.com/COVID-19. And at the top of there's a ton of resources on there, but all the resources for all businesses right now apply for solo entrepreneurs as well, many of them. So check with your local financial institution, visit the different agency web pages for sure. Another opportunity that we have at the EDC when you're thinking about retooling your business or pivoting or doing things different, we're offering a workshop right now called our Refocus Workshop, which is a 2-hour workshop. It's normally $75. We're doing it for absolutely free for Pasco County-based residents. So you can find information on that workshop as well to kind of rethink how you're doing business right now amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Next, I'm going to jump over to Elizabeth. Thank you, Shari, and feel free to jump in if you have further commentary. But Elizabeth, she is the facilities manager. She runs the whole building over here, makes sure things are operating nicely with the commercial kitchen. So I want to talk a little bit about, are we back open? Can people use the kitchen? And then we'll go into some specifics, but what's the story? Oh, hold on one second. Let me get her. Sorry, I think I had you muted. So what's the story? Are we open for business? What's going on?
We're open for business starting Monday, June 1st, 2020. We want to go ahead and have a gradual opening. We will be open to everyone. They must submit a kitchen reservation as typical EDC members and the public. And we greatly look forward to having everyone in here and getting their businesses going. There's no more than 2 people allowed right now in the kitchen. That's subject to change, 2 at a time. And they must practice CDC guidelines, hand washing, hand sanitizing as often as possible. We do require folks in the kitchen to wear a mask and gloves at all times. Basically, just to follow the CDC guidelines, folks must also sign an acknowledgement acknowledging that they are aware of the CDC guidelines, and then they're more than welcome to go ahead and use the kitchen as they did before.
That's excellent. So as a reminder, there's 2 types of ways you can use the kitchen out here at this center. This is the one-stop shop in Dade City. There's 2 ways. One is as a community member, if you're using it to hold an event or a class or maybe a fundraiser for a local club, you can register to utilize the kitchen for that one-time purpose through Elizabeth's team. If you want to use the kitchen for production as a business, then you register as a Smart Start member and you have access to the kitchen. So 2 different ways. Now you mentioned the CDC release. Now you mentioned, so we still have to have an appointment to show up. So we're not just open to the general public. People can't just come and go as they will, right?
That is correct. Yes. And they are to submit, everyone has to submit a reservation form. It has to be by appointment. And that helps us also keep it structured. Everyone must wear a mask, practice social distancing, at least 6 feet as much as possible, especially in the common areas.
Is there any rules about where throughout the building people can travel?
Folks can, use the restroom and be around the facility and enter and exit. We do encourage folks to, as much as possible in the common areas, to wear masks, both EDC members and the public who are visiting. Right now, we're accepting folks as of next week by appointment only to meet with us. For the kitchen, it's not going to be open until June 1st, which is that Monday. And folks can start setting reservations for that June 1st mark if they'd like already.
Okay, that's great. Now, I want to show, so she's mentioning masks. So Elizabeth is a seamstress at heart. And so she has actually been producing masks diligently from home. She's been donating them to charities. She's been supporting the community in that way, just out of the kindness of her heart. And so if you don't have a mask when you come into the building and you need to borrow one, not borrow it, I don't want it back, but if you need one, we do have some extras available. They'll be in the common area. So this one's sealed. I'm not going to open this one, but I will show you the one that, did you make the one you've got on, Elizabeth?
No, actually, this one was donated to me by our sewing team over at Land O'Lakes Library. Yeah, okay. It's very similar to the ones that I've been sewing myself, though.
I've got one that Elizabeth made. It's kind of cool. It's Art Deco, multiple colors, super easy to use. So no excuse when you're in the common areas It just helps slow the spread, and that's okay. So we've got your back, and we've got what you need. We also ask, I would go a step further. We do say wash your hands as often as possible, but I would say when you come into the building and when you leave the building at your bare minimum, because you want to make sure that you don't bring anything in, and that just in case that you don't bring anything out. So make sure you use hand sanitizer, wash your hands at the very minimum upon entry and exit, and as often as possible. So I just throw that out there. And then if you're coming by and you happen to see an administrative hallway or offices, if you don't need to be in a part of the building, there's no need to be wandering around. Just go to the part you're supposed to be at. If you've got an appointment with someone, you go to their office. You're using the kitchen, go to the kitchen. So is there anything, exciting coming up? I mean, I know we don't have Kyle on here, Elizabeth, but do you want to share a little bit about the gardens and what's going on there? I haven't heard an update.
Absolutely. So Mr. Kyle's been working on the community gardens program, and out here on the east side, and he's got a farm den, which we consider it to be a little bit less than a farm, more than a garden, and it's right out here outside the building. And eventually we want to see if he can launch a farm to table program that would also bring in Miss Shari from a food safety also perspective. And we want to see if we can grow maybe strawberries out here one day, and blueberries, and maybe we can bring them in and harvest and prepare them and do another canning session like we did in February that Miss Shari hosted with the agent from Sumter. So there's a lot of plans for the future. This is definitely impacted us, and it's altering the way we operate, but it's not stopping us. So it's strengthening our heartbeat, and we are mitigating and learning to work together and towards the betterment of the program. So that's there's a lot coming, especially the community gardens out there.
Yeah, that's great. And I want to throw out there to the community that if, a lot of people are at home, you've got your kids at home, you might have some extra time on your hands to learn something new. So Shari is always putting on great classes, but if there's a special demand from the community for a specific piece of knowledge, and you want to do a virtual class from home in your kitchen, and you have ideas, send those ideas over to us. Send Shari or Elizabeth your ideas. Let me know, because if there's 4 or 5 people that really want to learn something, I know, Shari, you did a canning class that was pretty successful. Have you heard of some ideas of some upcoming courses you might be doing virtually, or at least been tossing around in your head?
I had a few webinars, in the past few weeks. Nothing that really pertains to a business more. Well, I did one on money management, but then I did one on fitness and exercise, and we did one for food safety for the 4-H kids that were going to do a tailgating contest. So I'm just, this is all new, so we're just kind of taking one day at a time. And as I see demand for something or a need, I would definitely think to offer that in a virtual setting. And
what's the best way folks could contact you if they had an idea for a class that they might want to participate in?
The best way is to email me. So do you have my email anywhere on the Facebook?
I can write it in the comment thread here if you want to say it out loud.
Yeah, it's sbresin@ufl.edu.
sbresin at
ufl.edu.
ufl.edu. All right, and that's the Seminoles, right?
We'll pretend you didn't say that.
All right, and then Elizabeth, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they have specific requests for the center?
So first off, is my phone number here at the office. It's area code 352-521-1254. And my email address is E as in Elizabeth, Urquiola, URQUIOLA at Pasco County, FL, the initials for Florida.net. And both ways are a good method to contact me. Inquiries about the kitchen, anything pretty much anyone needs.
That's great. And I put all that contact information into the comment thread. I'm going to see if there were any questions from the community. We do have a lot of people watching, which is great. I see Dr. Elmore, Justin Miller, Sam Turgeon, Wendy Howard. I mentioned Jennifer Ziegler already. So Becky Scheibel, Jenny Rubin, and as well as some folks who haven't commented. If you are watching, as this program, both the One Stop Shop, Shari's program through the county extension, Smart Start Pasco, we're all funded with a public-private partnership, a lot of taxpayer dollars, so we have to be good stewards. And so I ask a simple request. If you could please comment in the thread on this webinar so that we know you attended, even if it's just a, hey, how are you? Or if you have a question and want follow-up, the more interaction down there, the more we can show that this is a valued service. I see a lot more people watching. I mean, when we go back and look at these, we'll see 200-300 views. But if there's only a few comments, we can't really tell some success. So if there's something, please say something and put your email address if you want more information or get a hold of us. Does Shari or Elizabeth, either of you have anything else to share? I know we covered a lot quickly, but we've actually been on here 30 minutes. Time flies when you're having fun. If you guys have anything else to share before we go on. Yay, nay?
Oh, wait.
Elizabeth, I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, I was waiting for you. Well, no, just on behalf of, Dr. Whitney Elmore and our extension director and our entire family, our team, thank you so much for, everything, for all you do and for your businesses and for serving our communities and our citizens, our public, for your service and support. We greatly, greatly appreciate you. And like I said, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to help, whether it's in my lane, in my alley or not. I'll get you the answer. I'll get you to the right person.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. And Shari, I do know you had something.
I just wanted to add real quick that I'm hoping to start doing my food safety certification classes starting in July, provided things, continue to calm down. So anyone that wants this certification, and again, it looks great for your customers, even though it's not required for a cottage food business, it's still just something to enhance your knowledge on food safety and then puts your customers at ease that you have this knowledge. So, if you're interested, email me and I'm going to start working out dates, and it'll probably be held at the One Stop Shop, so the building that Dan and Elizabeth are in. So keep an eye out for that.
Is that the Serve Safe or is it a?
Yeah, we do it through ServSafe. Yep. So anyone that wants the ServSafe management certification, we're looking to offer that again this summer.
Excellent. I know a lot of people ask about that all the time, so that'll be good. That'll be a good thing. Well, everybody, thank you so much. I do want to comment. One person did comment, Justin Miller. I should have said this, but he called me out on it. Make sure you follow Smart Start Pasco's Facebook page here. Follow the UF IFAS, the Pasco Extension Facebook page. Share this video, click like, all those great social media things so that we can continue to spread good news. Thank you all so much. If you need anything at all, we're here for you. Stay safe and keep Pasco working. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.